Well, today is National Do Something Nice Day. Some people think that should be every day. You should try to make it every day. But the whole crux of this show is we have said not nice things about each other's alma mater. So maybe we should do something different and say something nice about each other's school. You go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, so I was born in Columbus, so I always have a big love for the city in that sense. My dad still lives there. My sister lives there.
Those are just facts. Like,
are you gonna... That's something nice about it. No, I love the city. Oh, good food. Good food.
Okay.
I went to one of your restaurants with our crew earlier in the year. Good food scene.
No, there's definitely good food in Columbus. If I had to say something nice about Michigan, I've been playing football for a really long time. It's hard to do.
Is that just a fact, too?
No, it's hard to be around that long. You know, I couldn't play football that long. You certainly didn't play football that long.
Here's what you're missing.
They've been playing football for a long time.
They've been playing football as good as anyone for a long time. That's what I'm going to help you out. That's what you got to say.
There weren't a lot of teams back in the day when they started. Weren't a lot of programs that were developed. Because I would look at the second half of the history, and it's a little bit more representative of what Michigan is rather than when nobody else was playing ball. But we don't have to get into that. I'm supposed to say nice things. So you've been playing ball for a while.
You're my good friend, and you came from Columbus as well. So you know what? There we go.
How about that? I love it. What a time to be alive. Oh, man, this is Red Corner, Blue Corner right here on Stadium. Jake Butt joining me, the All-American tight end from Michigan, won a Mackey Award, captained the team in his senior year. I mean, just all the things he did at the University of Michigan right there in Ann Arbor.
And this is Joshua Perry, also the captain. So we're captains together. National champion, that's something I'll never be able to say, and NFL linebacker, as well as he is a poet. Joshua was telling me he writes poetry on Saturdays to get him in the right mindset before his calls.
You know, you're a champion in life, and that's what matters the most.
That's something nice day today. This is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And we'd like to welcome in our audience as well. You're important to this show, so go ahead. We want you to start off by scanning that QR code on the screen and get in on today's poll. Who will win the game between Rutgers and Wisconsin? We also need you in that YouTube chat. You guys have been great in there, giving us a lot of content, some really good questions to explore. But we want to get to today's show, and we want to start in our hometown of Columbus, Ohio, where Marvin Harrison Jr. is still feeling the effects of that ankle injury from the Notre Dame game. After practice, the Buckeyes wideout said, "It's worse than the one from last year, but I'm good enough to play." What are your thoughts?
Okay, so my thoughts are he answered a question. You know, I would always lean towards less information to the media than more. Like, if you can avoid it, the second half of the statement might have been enough. You might have just benefited from saying, "I'm good enough to play." But the context is important because it tells us a story, which we'll get into in a sec. The biggest takeaway, he's good enough to play. He is playing, and they'll need him this weekend to match the explosive offense that Maryland's going to bring to town.
Were you even aware that he had an ankle injury last year?
No, I wasn't.
That's the thing that stands out to me most about what he said there, right? It's worse than last year. It's like, well, damn, I didn't even know he was hurt last year.
Well, maybe that's why it's worse than last year.
Right, and so, you know, maybe he's a step slower, whatever the case is this year, but it seemed like he was able to manage pretty well without anybody even suspecting that he was hurt a year ago. So the way that this guy is playing and the way he's built, and we watched that game against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
He got rolled up on. That is an injury where certainly I don't know if I'd have been able to come back in the game.
Yeah.
They taped that thing up, and my dude was out there like nothing was wrong.
That's what freaks do. And maybe that's why nothing needed to be said last year. He's just a freak, and he can play through it. That injury looked really bad. I was like, oh, shoot. But then he gets up. He jogs on the sideline. There's plenty of reasons to say Marvin Harrison Jr. is special, but the real special ones can get up from something like that.
Yeah, and I wasn't that special, so I certainly wasn't getting up from anything like that. But I do want to bring this back from last week. We talked about the idea of a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft, maybe saying, you know what, let me pack it in for this season. I don't need to be out here. I've proven enough to go ahead and make generational money.
Yeah.
Do you think that thought creeps back up into his mind?
Frankly, I do think you have to consider that as a player, and it's okay to consider that as a player. What's good about this for Marvin Harrison Jr. is it tells us a little bit about the mindset and the character, because there is guys who would sit out the rest of the season. I won't judge. I think that's totally fair. But the fact is that guy believes that there's something in life greater than the dollar sign. He's in pursuit of legacy.
Yep.
Not everybody gets that opportunity. He gets the opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it. So thankfully, it seems like this is not going to be a massive injury. It's something he clearly can play through. But let's see what happens if this becomes a continual thing, like Jackson Smith-Njigba's hamstring last year.
Yeah, I mean, legacy I think is really big, and I'm glad that he's chasing that. For me, I'm with you on the wait and see thing, and I'm going to be completely honest. If I am a defender, I'm going to test him on that ankle, right? Like, I'm going to make sure that thing is 100% and see if I can't find weakness in his game. But like you said, he's built differently. The dude is a freak. He's an alien. He's not of this world, and so I think he'll be able to go out there and perform at a very high level. But I want to get to a game, our weekly game of Pick One.
I love our games.
I know. The games are so much fun. Now, it's only week 6 of the season, but Ohio State and Wisconsin are both coming off their bye weeks. Meanwhile, Michigan will not have their break until week 9. So pick one, early bye week or late bye week?
Yeah, actually, I think back to my senior year, I had a late bye week. So obviously the number one thing that comes with bye weeks is a chance to get your body healthy, right? It's a physical sport. So later in the season, the late bye week benefits you because you've been repeatedly beat up and taking on car crashes every week. So you get the later in the season, the bye week is the recovery to then come down the home stretch. So Ohio State's an early bye week. They're not as beat up. They haven't played a physical Big Ten slate. To me, I'm a late bye week guy as a physical and mental reset before you come down the home stretch of the season.
Yeah, I'm with you. The late bye week was always so tough, though, because you're literally trying to get to week 9 before you can even catch your breath. And that is a tough challenge. Like, mentally, there does come a point where your body might be feeling it, but you can't get your mind to feel it the same way. You might drop a game just because your bye week's so late. I look at the early bye week as an opportunity as well to really work on development of a team while the bodies are still fresh. And you can go out later in the year and say, we have to get a certain amount of work done during practice. But there's a smart way for us to do this in a way that we can do it without all the physicality and without all the contact. And quite frankly, we can do it via mental reps and tape and without having to get all of the miles logged in our bodies running around the football field. But I think if you're a team, which most teams are in college football, where after week 5, you still think that there's a ton of development left for your team.
Yeah.
I think it benefits to have that early bye week because you can get that work.
I'll be honest, I like both Ohio State and Michigan's bye week. Ohio State, for a young quarterback in McCord, catch your breath a little bit.
Yeah.
It's been quick. Catch your breath and then develop. We'll see how he responds. Michigan, on the other hand, their bye week is right before a stretch of Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State.
Yeah.
They're a much more veteran team, so it does benefit them. Now, here's another question in our game of games here, Joshua. Who is more likely to lead a second half comeback? We got Purdue facing Iowa this week. Who are you taking, Ryan Walters or Kirk Ferentz?
Kirk Ferentz, the old guy. He's seen so much football. There's so much experience there. And I think the way that his team is built as well really leans into it because as much as we dog on their offensive philosophy, it is one that is built on we can wear you down. And defensively, all they're really doing is waiting for you to make mistakes. And quite frankly, teams get impatient in the second half. They feel like they want to put the game away. That's where the mistake comes, and that's where he can pounce on the opportunity. So as I look at a guy like Kirk Ferentz, I just lean into the fact that he has so much experience in games that probably weren't going his way at one point that he's been able to pull out.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got a body of work of successful second half. He's got a body of work of unsuccessful second halves. And I think the reason the unsuccessful second half comes and why I'm picking Purdue is I don't trust Iowa's offense to lead a comeback. You're very reliant on defense and special teams, which is what we saw against Michigan State. That in mind, I'm going to pick Purdue. For one reason mainly here is now that Ryan Walters is calling plays for the defense, I think that is a domino effect, and we're going to see this confirmed this weekend. The offense doesn't have to press. The offense can just do what they do. The defense is going to get stops with Ryan Walters calling the plays. That's going to give advantageous field position to Graham Harrell and Hudson Card and some of those Purdue weapons. I'm picking Purdue. I trust their offense to put up points. complimenting the defense more than I do for Iowa.
So you think that offense is going to be able to have an explosion against the Iowa defense?
It doesn't need to be an explosion in this sense, but it needs to be a totality, a complement to the defense. Purdue, I trust Purdue's defense to stuff Iowa's offense.
I agree with
and then
that.
then I say that there'll be enough opportunities for Purdue to take advantage of I just don't think Iowa's defense this year is as good as it's been in the past.
It's not, but I just feel like people get impatient on them, and that's when they're able to pounce on the mistakes. So certainly will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Let's take it to Ann Arbor here, and I'll ask you this question. Blake Corum, Roman Wilson, who's staying with the team? If you had to pick one, who you taking?
If I had to pick one, and thankfully Michigan gets to have them both. If I had to pick one, though, I'm picking Roman Wilson. And you talk about value over replacement. That's a word that comes up in sports these days. Roman Wilson is doing something that no Michigan receiver has done in a very long time. Michigan hasn't had a first-round skill position taken. You had to go back to Braylon Edwards, who also played wide receiver. So they have been lacking in the receiver department. Without Roman Wilson, who's Michigan's wide receiver one? You don't have one. Cornelius Johnson's a veteran, but Roman Wilson is doing things that no one else on the Michigan roster can do, whereas I believe Blake, though Blake is a special talent, I think that they can still run the football.
So let me tell you why, for me, it's Blake Corum. Is I imagine, and it's the way that Michigan's operating this year. So I look back to last year, and Blake Corum got a lion's share of the carries, did a really good job for that team. Then he gets hurt. And so now it's Donovan Edwards, and it's his turn to run the football. We didn't know how banged up he was throughout the year. He had the wrist injury, put the ball on the ground a couple of times, and there really wasn't another option that they felt super confident in. They got Mullings this year, who they've been rolling in a little bit more. But as I look at it right now, I don't think Michigan wants to be a team that goes back to the bell cow running back where they can't necessarily roll guys and take reps off, because they understand how long this season might be. They might be playing in 15 games this year. They want to make sure they have healthy backs by the end of the year. So you take your best back off of the football team, then you're putting in lesser backs that are going to take more of a pounding, the way that they like to run the football. And it sets up that maybe you do get to the college football playoff this year, and you're looking in the backfield and saying, dang, I know we got a good offensive line. I know our quarterback can run. We don't want to have to rely on that too much. But geez, oh Pete's, we don't have a top back anymore.
So what you're saying is Blake allows them to be who they want to be, which is run the football. It's hard for me to argue with that. I just say JJ has, if they want to reach their ceiling, JJ has to throw the ball. Well, without Roman, I don't know who he's throwing the football to consistently. So that's why I'm sticking with Roman.
I'm not going to disagree on that too much, because Roman has been a revelation for them, has played really well.
Revelation's a good word.
Yeah, and he's elevated JJ McCarthy, no doubt. But we're going to take a break right here on Red Corner, Blue Corner. Coming up, it's the end of our week here on the show, so we're making our game picks, and we'll be joined by one of our loyal viewers. That's on the other side of the break. But remember to keep it right here on Stadium for Rivals Down South. The crew will try to defend the SEC when Jake and I join the festivities. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour. More Red Corner, Blue Corner after the break.
All right, welcome back. We spent a lot of time this week talking Maryland and Ohio State. They've gotten the majority of our attention, but there's a sneaky good matchup brewing in Madison. Rutgers hits the road to face Wisconsin in a battle of one-loss teams. In my opinion, this is a battle potentially for the 5th best team in the Big Ten Conference.
Sure.
So we're going to break it down right here for you. Joshua, why don't we approach it from this lens? In your opinion, what's the biggest key in this matchup?
The quarterbacks against the opposing defenses, I think. And I know it's kind of easy to lean into the quarterbacks, and, you know, it's a sexy thing to do. Both of these quarterbacks, I think, can be forced into mistakes. I look at Wisconsin as a defense that has been opportunistic this year. They've been able to take the football away. Rutgers is a program that is built on defense. Let's take it over to Tanner Mordecai. You were on the spring game, right? The first look for Big Ten fans at Mordecai. What was that like?
Gave the ball away quite often.
Yeah, like the first play.
And
right?
then the second time and then a third time.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. So that's a problem, right? 3 interceptions on the season, should not be there. He's got more interceptions than touchdown passes. This is not a good stat line.
Good.
Gavin Wimsatt is a guy where he should not be put in a position to have to win the game on his arm.
Sure.
Because although he has been better throwing the football, he is not a player who is fully developed yet as a quarterback. I think the defenses have a lot to say about the way that this game goes. If you can force the quarterbacks to have to throw passes that they're not comfortable with, you can change the game.
Off of that point, I think the matchup I'm looking at here is if you're Wisconsin and you feel that the way Joshua just laid it out about their quarterback and Mordecai, you need to run the ball with Braylon Allen. Ches Malusi's out. Braylon Allen has typically been a better back when he's got the Robin to his Batman. The challenge is you're playing a Rutgers defense that is as good as anyone in the conference at stopping the run. 4th best run rating in the Big Ten Conference. So they're going to have a great test for Braylon Allen. He needs to beat that challenge. If Wisconsin wants to win this game, if Wisconsin wants to realize their ceiling, he's going to need to overcome the challenges that this Rutgers defense presents.
I want to see Braylon Allen step into a different gear as a runner. I think he's got every tool that you need. He's big, he's strong, he's super fast, got great footwork, contact balance. I need to see him decide to create a run when a run is not there more often. I think that's going to take him to the next level.
Well, this is his chance. Just real quick for me, Joshua, who needs this win more?
I always think about Rutgers' season as a race to 6 games. Like, can you get to be bowl eligible? So anytime they could pick up a win in conference, to me, I think it's Rutgers.
I'm going to go Wisconsin, actually, just because of the battle in the West. Can you create some separation? This is a winnable game for Wisconsin. Your favorite at home. They need to win this game and take command of the #1 team in the West as they race to try to get to Indy. But we'll pick this game later, as we'll pick a couple games later, as we picked a few games on last week's Thursday show. And it was pretty good across the board. Our fan picker, Matt Goldman, he went a perfect 6 for 6, so he's batting 1,000 at this point.
Good for him.
You see the one loss, that's because Joshua and I had Illinois beating Purdue. Weren't even close. Whoops. So how about let's just kick things off this week with a wager from Stadium's betting insider and Illinois alum, Brad Evans.
Hola amigos, Brad Evans here. Come with me on this SGP if you like it. Give me the Iowa Hawkeyes on the money line and give me the under on an alt total of 48.5. You slap those two together, a cool plus 125 at BetMGM. Look, I know Iowa is without Cade McNamara under center the rest of the season, and Deacon Hill was a wee bit rocky a week ago against Michigan State, completing just 41.4% of his pass attempts, but it's all about that D. I'm talking about defense with Iowa. Number 37 in the nation in EPA total defense. Purdue, meanwhile, outside the top 80 in that category. So defense, get some timely turnovers, and LaShawn Williams on the ground. If you can move the chains somewhat consistently for Iowa, I believe they score the dub, and the total cashes with ease on that under. Now go out there and make that money, Team Huevos.
Oh, my goodness. That's great stuff out of Brad. It's like listening to him is drinking a quad espresso. You got all the energy. You can get more picks like that from Brad and the rest of the crew on Live on the Line. That's weekdays at noon Eastern right here on Stadium. But it is that time. It is time for us to make more picks. And like every week, we'll be joined by one of our loyal viewers. And this week, we welcome in Sam Brief, who's a graduate of Northwestern University. He's also a broadcaster for the Chicago Dogs and the Windy City Bulls. Sam, my man, how are you feeling?
What's up, fellas? I'm feeling great. I don't know if I have quad espresso energy like Mr. Evans, but I'll give you like a single or a double. How's that?
That works for me.
Very few have that kind of energy.
Yeah, no, we'll take all the energy we can get. It's time to pick winners this week. We'll start off with the Big Ten game of the week. We got Maryland taking on number 4 Ohio State. Sam, we'll start with you. Who you got?
Yeah, I can't not pick the Buckeyes in this game. I mean, Maryland is not going to go into the shoe and win this game. I mean, here's the thing. Ohio State, they don't really turn the ball over. They don't commit many penalties, and those are things Maryland needs to go in their favor to win this game. Marvin Harrison Jr. is coming back, so that's a good target, obviously, for Sam Hartman. So I got the Buckeyes big.
They don't commit many turnovers, but Maryland forces them. So maybe they can make this a little bit interesting if that Maryland defense can force some turnovers. This is one of the best offenses that'll test the Buckeye defense. But I'm saying all that to say this: Ohio State wins, Joshua.
Yeah, I'm going with the Buckeyes as well in this one. I think they'll be pushed. I think they'll be challenged. This is going to be the best offense Ohio State's probably seen. It's going to be the best all-around team that Maryland's seen. And it's not even close here. And so I think that's going to be the difference in this one. But we got number 2, Michigan. They're going to be on the road against Minnesota. Sam, what are we thinking about the Brown Jug game?
It was 1977, the last time Michigan lost a road game at Minnesota. I was not a glimmer in my parents' eye. I got the Wolverines in a big win here. J.J. McCarthy's been so smooth. That's maybe the best offensive line in college football, even though it hasn't been challenged that much so far. They're not going to get challenged much on Saturday night, so give me Michigan.
It was 2015, a team that I was part of, that required a goal line stand to beat Minnesota on the road. That one was a close one. This will not be a close one. This is a bad matchup for Minnesota. Michigan wins, and they win big.
Yeah, Michigan big. Michigan big. And I think that they have played like a dominant team, 4th in America in scoring margin. That's the way that you're supposed to look when you're a top team like Michigan. Red River rivalry, taking it out of conference. Number 12, Oklahoma. Number 3, Texas. Huge implications for the CFP, Sam.
Yeah, Texas is a 6.5-point favorite in this one, but I'm going upset special.
Wow.
After losing 49-0 last year, Oklahoma's going to come out firing for revenge. Brent Venables in his second season. Hey, these guys are giving up only 10 points per game, 4th best in the FBS. I really like their quarterback, too. Dylan Gabriel, 15 touchdowns to 1 interception, 80% completion percentage. I've got OU in an upset.
Sam, this is where your perfect record falls. How could you miss this? This is Texas, and they cover the spread, in my opinion. You like Oklahoma's quarterback. I like Quinn Ewers. They showed me a lot to say Texas was back going on the road and beat Bama earlier in the season. I'm picking Texas.
It's one of the most well-rounded teams in the country. I think they run the football well. Quinn Ewers has come along as a passer. They're built well on both lines of scrimmage. I think the defense for Texas has been really good. Oklahoma's been hard to stop, no doubt, but I think Texas has this one. We're going to go Rutgers versus Wisconsin. This is a game that I've been struggling with. I think it's going to be a very good battle, Sam. I want to hear from you on this one.
I'm not struggling that much in this one. It's at Camp Randall, which means a big advantage for Wisconsin in front of that home crowd. Obviously, you've got that running back battle. We'll watch Braylon Allen against Kyle Monangai. That Badger defense gives up only 3.5 yards per rush. Rutgers doesn't quite have the aerial attack to keep up. I've got the Badgers covering in this one.
Wow, Sam, the fork in the road. You know what travels on the road? A run game and a good defense. What does Rutgers have? A run game and a good defense. I think they forced some errors out of Mordecai. I'm actually picking the upset. I'm taking the Scarlet Knights, Joshua.
Yeah, and I'm going Wisconsin on this one. It was tempting for me to pick the upset, but certainly feels like Wisconsin's got to get this one. I think we got a recap of the picks here. Want to get to you. Sam, we always appreciate you up here, but as you see, we'll figure out what happens here because we do have a little bit of difference. Sam, I appreciate you willing to step out there and go against the grain just a little bit, but that'll do it for us right here on Red Corner, Blue Corner. For Jake Butt, I'm Joshua Perry, and we'll see you next week right here on Stadium.